It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading, and today we're in the wood shop and we are going to make a new workbench top for my lathe bench. Basically, I've been working on my wood shop for quite a while. I have like a 1950s, 1960s theme. I have a 1950s Delta Homecraft table saw jointer combination. I have like a 1960s bandsaw. I have a Walker Turner drill press that comes somewhere in the 50s or 60s. I got them all up and running, but one of the things I've been missing is actually a nice lathe. I have an old Sears roebuck lathe that I got, and someone cut it down short, so we're going to lengthen it, because my goal is to actually be able to make broom handles and shovel handles on it. So it's nothing going to be too heavy, but it really needs to be long enough. My bench I want to put the lathe on is a little short, so we're going to make a nice little top for it out of reclaimed lumber and see if we can put it on. And you know what? It's going to be very simple. I don't want to spend a ton of money, but you know what? I want it to look pretty good too. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make a workbench top for my lathe table. So this is the bench I'm going to put it on. I painted it in the fall pretty quickly because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to paint it in the winter, which with the garage all closed up and everything, it'll be like you'll just fume yourself out. So I painted it quickly. It's been sitting here, but the main issue with the bench is it's a little too short. So I thought, you know what, if I make a nice wooden top for it and make it hang out just a little bit longer, then it'll be just long enough. I want to make those long handles for shovels. So we're going to use some reclaimed wood. It was from work. I don't know, it came with some pallets. It looks like red cedar maybe. It's very light. It's hard to say exactly what it is, but I think it's going to look real nice with some linseed oil on it. It is a little bit warped, so I'm going to have to straighten it out, get it all ready to glue up. So I have two boards that are perfectly straight and two boards that are crooked. You can see there's a gap at the end here. It touches in the center, and then there's another gap here. I'm trying to use a very simple way to straighten out these boards. I think what I'm going to do is just screw these 2x4s together very lightly. I'll try to use the same holes that the nails were in, so I'm not going to add more holes to it, but I'll screw it down and then run it through the table saw, and then it should be nice and straight. So there you go, let's run that through the table saw. Make a very simple bench top. So I'm just going to glue everything together. So I'm going to lay out everything, we're going to mark it, and then that should be plenty enough strength for it to actually work. I didn't want to spend a ton of time making the bench, but in the same rate I wanted to make sure that it was actually nice and sturdy. So I think that's going to be good, and the outside cleats that cross can be moved if it's in the road for the lathe motor or bolts. They're not permanently there. I am going to screw them in when I glue it all together just to make sure it's all together, but otherwise I don't think that'll matter too much. There we go. So we're going to use the Craftsman plunge router. Basically, I screwed down my pieces as guide pieces, 6.5 inches to the edge where I want them to be. That's the distance from here to here. We'll make our first pass. I'll move the guide pieces. We'll cut the other side, and then we should be good to go from there. So I think what I'm gonna do is just cut strips of wood from the wood I have here. So it'll fit in here, and then I can actually glue them in place, glue the whole thing together, and then it can just harden. And then that'll be plenty strong enough, so then when I remove these pieces, I will put them on right on the end, and I will leave these intact where they sit. That is going to be plenty strong for what I need. A lathe bench, you're not pulling on it, you just want a nice sturdy table. So I think that's going to work good. Okay, so I did a dry fit. These are my cross pieces. These I'm going to leave here after I glue it all together and screw it down. They're going to stay in place. I'm going to remove these. These are going to be my support in the middle, and I'm going to put a ton of screws holding this to the bench. I think that is going to be plenty strong enough. And possibly I might put these on the end of here just for a decorative piece. Then I'll linseed oil the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to glue the thing up. I got some carpenter's glue. We're just going to glue all the surfaces, clamp it together. Tomorrow I'm just going to try to sand it up. Then we can actually start installing the lathe on the bench, which that's when it kind of gets exciting. I like to put lots of glue. Nothing worse than not having enough glue. So it's looking good. I got a bit of glue there I have to get rid of. It's pretty flat the whole way. We're gonna let that dry, and then tomorrow we'll try to finish up the bench and get it installed. The lathe bench top is looking good. It's all cured. We're gonna run a hand planer over it a little bit, just flatten it out a little bit. I somehow messed up and this board kind of shifted when it glued, so it's a little bit of a woe on this board, but I think that's going to look good. We're just going to run a hand planer, clean it up. When we bolt down the lathe, it's really not going to affect its operation. We'll just try to make it look as good as possible. I don't have my whole dust collection system up and running, but I do have chunks of it. So I have my dust filter working now, and I've got a dust collector system that a friend of mine, dropped off to me and let me have, which I'm super grateful for, and I've been meaning to make a video to thank them. So that'll be in the future coming. But at least I have somewhat of a dust collection system. My goal is to have it all piped, or at least in a way that I can easily hook up every piece of equipment. So that will be in the future, but we just keep plugging away. Okay, so this is the bottom of my workbench now. We'll try to plane the top side. So my hand planer, the dust collector doesn't suck it up very well. It does a better job cleaning it up after I'm done planing, so I'm gonna have to work on that. But I find that my dust collector at the top of the ceiling really does get rid of that ambient dust that's in the shop, which is that stuff's not good for you. So the wood shop's coming together a little bit at a time, so we're just gonna try to finish up some of the projects and get this shop done, because it's took me a little while to get it to where I want it for sure. Okay, so we're gonna try to plane the top and see how well we can get it. Made a quick rough plane of it. It really did flatten it out nice. We're going to run the belt sander over it, get it relatively flat, and then that's all I need. The whole thing doesn't have to be perfect, but I kind of want to make it look nice. I want to get my wood shop set up. Right now my lathe is sitting there and I can't use it, but once this is done I can use it. If I need to make a broom handle or a shovel handle, it'll just be there. I have been really putting a push on to try to get all of these tiny projects finished. At least that's the goal anyways. Sanded, I think that is good enough. So now we're going to install it on the new lathe bench. I think I'm going to drill a few holes so it's just easy to screw in from the bottom. So now we're just gonna throw some linseed oil on it. I'm gonna apply it a couple times, try to get it to soak in. And you know, this isn't perfect. You still see some planer marks, but really that adds some character for sure. Linseed oil leaves a really nice finish. Back in the day before they had like varnish and stuff like that, that's all they ever used. It's a very simple preservative. That actually looks really, really nice. So there you go. Here is the finished lathe bench. I think that's going to work really, really good. I don't know what that wood is. That wood is like, it's about as light as pine, but it really, really has a dark color to it. So I don't really know what it is, but it looks really good with that linseed oil on it. Came out super, super good. I'm gonna throw the lathe on it so you can actually get a rough idea of what I was thinking. So I'm gonna take the lathe, we're gonna mount it somewhere here, and then I'm gonna extend these pipes so I can actually put a 4-foot piece on the lathe. So at one point, someone shortened up the lathe just to do some small work. And they even cut the ends off here, so I don't know if I'm going to actually do anything with that, but all I have to do is change these pipes, drill it, and remount this way down here, and I should have a lathe that will fit a 4-foot piece. It is a small, light lathe, but you know what? I'm just making shovel handles and stuff. It's nothing going to be too heavy, so I think this is going to work. So we finished up the bench. It looks good. I just have to get the time to kind of rework the lathe that I have so it'll fit a 4-foot piece. So I'm hoping tomorrow I can maybe work away at it, try to finish up the lathe so we can actually get it mounted down. Because, you know, if it's not finished, I actually can't use it. It's kind of a waste. I've got half-finished projects everywhere. I really need to just get them done. So I got the bench done, so I'm super happy about that. And hopefully tomorrow we'll get the lathe on. So that's about enough for today. You guys have a good one.